a computer, we try how to connect the hardware, we try, how to connect with the online platforms like Webex or the all the LMS platforms which engineer PP Bhattacharjee has come up with. All of us try and learn them, right? But what artificial intelligence does, what AI does, we need not learn from AI, AI learns from us. Artificial intelligence, the beauty of AI lies in the fact that it learns from us, it observes us, and then finds solution to the problems which we have in hand. Right? So when we talk of artificial intelligence, when we talk of technology, definitely this is an area when market and market through online platforms or market through social media, right? If we can reach to the villages, nothing better than that. Right? We always talk about, if we talk about 800 million people, if we talk about 50% of whom are very, very young, in the age brigade of 18 to 24 years, if we talk about capitalizing these very young, workforce, we definitely need to, look into the prospects of having market access through technology. And I suppose this is why this program is all about, and this is why this particular session has been put through, right? So let us begin. Approaches to rural development. Okay, now when we talk about rural development, what is rural development all about? We talk of rural development as a process of improving the quality of life in all aspects, right? Quality of life in terms of, self-sustenance, quality of life in terms of self-esteem, our own esteem, right? We have such an ego, we have such an esteem, and we do not, want to do away with it easily. All right. When you talk about quality of life, it is also about, freedom in all, again, freedom from all sides, be it political, economic, or cultural. Right? So when we talk about rural development is, I'm repeating it, is the process of improving the quality of life and economic well-being of the people. We are talking about 800 million people in India residing across the 640,000 villages, right, who are relatively isolated, and who, if you look at Northeast India, they are also sparsely populated. Right? So we need to introduce here for these, 640,000 villages or 800 million people, we need to introduce a change for betterment, right? So when we talk about rural development, please remember we are talking about quality of life. We are talking about well-being, economic well-being of the people, right? And when we talk about a better quality of life encompasses, self-sustenance, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Yes, vocal for local, right? So why can't we get the basic necessities like food, cloth, shelter, primary health care, and security of life and property locally? Why can't we come up with such kind of development where we can go in for self-sustenance, Atmanirbhar, right? Self-esteem. None of us would like to, like to leave our self-esteem behind. We always carry it with us, along with us wherever we go, right? And if we do not have self-esteem, we perhaps will not live as human. It should be a peaceful state, right? Only a peaceful state can prosper and have development in true sense of the term. Culturally, we are already rich. India is already rich in culture, and we need to, we should not do away with the norms, with our beliefs, which our culture has given us. Sticking, carrying along culture and becoming one of the developed communities in the country would entail, rural development, can entail economic well-being, can entail the quality of life. All right. Moving on to the next slide. Approaches to rural development. See, Indian government has taken up many an approach to rural development since independence, and since 1951 we have had many a 5-year plans. Till 2014 we have had many a 5-year plans. Before the Niti Aayog came in, we have had many a 5-year plans which went on to outline the approaches which we need to follow when we talk about rural development. Right. And if we look at the development goals always had been around education, improving physical infrastructure in terms of energy, in terms of transport communication, in terms of road bottlenecks, right? Then social infrastructure, we always talk about having quality education. We talk about having, healthcare facilities at our doorsteps, right? We talk about sanitation and water supply. I think Government of India is going in a huge way, giving, that is what the statistics say, giving, water supply tapes in every household in the rural areas, right? And then one aspect, we cannot do away with nowadays when we talk about rural development and when we talk about development goals in rural areas is entrepreneurship, right? We cannot just do away with the role of entrepreneurship. Okay, so rural development is basically, when we talk about rural development, when we look back in history about rural development, we find that rural development is basically characterized by locally conceived development strategies. But somewhere down the line, when I talked about the 5-year plans which we had, or the annual plans which we had in between in the 1970s, late 1960s, early 1970s, the approach changed. Right, it took some time for the center or the to do away with the top bottom approach and get into a planning process where nowadays we are talking about the Gram Panchayat development plan. Right, it is bottom up approach now. We have taken into GPDP or Gram Panchayat development plan to emphasize upon locally conceived development strategies in the plan, so that people are involved, people themselves can put up what they really want, where are the gaps, and they can come up with sound ideas, right, which can be basically implemented. All right. So if we look back at history, as I was talking about the 5-year plans, we find these phases. At one point of time, up to 1960s of the last century, there was this approach of top down, from local, anybody from local to regional to national authorities, regional development agencies, the NGOs were doing a great role, and even the international donor organizations, development organizations, up to 1960s, it was a top down approach. They decided, be it the NGOs, be it the international development donor agencies, be it the regional or national government or the local government, the governments decided or the bodies decided, and it was expected that the development efforts would trickle down at the grassroots or to the grassroots. Okay, that was one phase. Then we have had another phase of political decentralization. That was in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Okay, there was now what happened during that period, during late 1960s and early 1970s, when we skipped a few 5-year plans, we went into a few annual plans because of the economic political issues, doing rounds in the country. It was found that there was organization gap. There was a big gap when we talk about the trickle down theory of benefits reaching at the bottom, as decided by somebody on the top. It failed somewhere. The benefits really, practically did not reach to the intended group or persons. Okay, so after identifying this organization gap, there was a reflection, a disjunction or disagreement, or a huge discussion took place between national governments and rural communities, and these led to greater focus on community participation. Communities should participate. It came out, the result was that it was realized that communities need to participate. A top-down approach most of the times fails to reach the bottom, right? So there was a need for, it was a realization that there was a need for community participation in rural development agendas. This was late 1960s and early 1970s. Okay. Now that policy continued, and recently in 2014-15, when we had the bottom-up approach, we are now talking about, we are into the 15th Finance Commission now, and we are basically talking about, you know, Gram Panchayat development plans. It all started with the 14th Finance Commission, and right now we have crossed the timeline of 5 years approach, and now we are into the 15th Finance Commission, and all of us who are on this platform, I think they know what GPDP is all about. Gram Panchayat Development Plan is all about. It is a people's plan concept, right? People participate, people tell their ideas, people make a revisit to the areas. They try to look into the problems, they try to find out where solutions are needed, and accordingly the plan is built. So it is about the Gram Panchayat Development Plan. Okay. Then some of the programs, like programs for self and wage employment, Swarna Jayanti Gram Swaraj Yojana, or if we are talking about involving the labor force, if you're talking about involving the workforce, one of the largest programs in the world, MGNREGA, right? All these came from the bottom-up approach, right? And when we talk about rural infrastructure and fulfilling the basic minimum needs, so many schemes came about in rural development programs. So many of them came about. Right now, if you're talking about Syama Prasad Mukherjee National Rural Mission, we also at one point of time, you know, we talked about Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, right? We talked about Pradhan Mantri Awaz Yojana Gramin. Once we talked about Pura, and now we are talking about Rural Urban Mission, right? If we look at Indira Awaz Yojana at the same time, we are also looking at Swachh Bharat Mission. So many rural development programs have come up in order to give a push to the development process in the rural areas. And this is how in the 5-year plans, you know, the government of India has tried addressing the question of rural development. Okay. On the natural resource management front, also many schemes and policies came up. Integrated Watershed Management Program, IWMP, we say in short, and it has taken many nomenclatures. It has changed. The names have changed, but the outline has remained same for most of these programs, with a little revisions done here and there. Right? Social Security net, it is a huge development net or security net, wherein the government tries reaching out to the last person living in the last mile through many schemes and policies, right? There are schemes like National Family Benefit Scheme, Annapurna. Then there are schemes like Atal Pension Yojana, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana. So we are trying on our part as development professionals to deliver to the last mile through what? Through all these policies conceived at the top, you know, by the different governments through planning, through a planning process. Okay. When we talk about approaches to rural development, we have seen how India has come about through various 5-year plans. What are the approaches it has taken? Of late, one of the approaches, you know, which UNDP has actually taken and which India has agreed to be a part of, is greening rural development in the country. Right. So what is greening rural development, the concept, all about? It is all about increasing private investment in clean technology and green resources. Right. So all technologies which are basically clean technologies, which do not emit, you know, I do not know. I think Partha sir would be the best person to tell you about this. When you talk about clean technology, maybe we are talking about emissions. Right. When you're talking about green resources, we do have green resources. We only need to see to it that we capitalize upon the green resources rather than resources which can harm the environment. right? Then the second one is when we talk about rural, greening rural development in India, we are also talking about increasing incomes for the rural poor. And when we're talking about increasing incomes of the rural poor, we are talking about increasing the incomes through green value chains in markets, right? Markets which are green, value chains which are green. That means we are basically talking about using green resources. Okay, so these are some of the approaches which Government of India has taken in the country to bring in development across, when we talk about to bring in development across 640,000 villages, meeting the livelihoods of 800 million people, 50% of whom are very, very young. Okay. Moving ahead, if we look at the results of rural development through all these approaches which I have discussed through the foregoing slides, the attainment, we have a long way to go. Literacy, it stands at 69%, poverty 10.5%, mitigating poverty, right? Then access to drinking water 88%, population with access to basic sanitation 60%, right? Infrastructure development, we are still trying. We have moved ahead, and we have a long way to go, long way to go. The second part, we have talked about the different approaches to rural development. We tried knowing what rural development approach is all about, and historically how India has come a long way with the basic concept of promoting rural development. Now let us move into the next aspect of rural development, market-based approach for rural development. This particular program is basically about technology and market, how you can use technology in promoting market access, or how you can use technology in promoting your products through web-based platforms, right? So this section in this particular a couple of slides, 3 to 4 slides are there. We would be basically looking at what market-based approach for rural development is all about, how it has come about, or how is it doing, right? So one second. Okay, now again since independence, if we look at the different approaches followed by Government of India in promoting markets, in promoting products, what we find is that Government of India initially took a subsidy approach, subsidy based approach to promoting markets and promoting livelihoods, right? If you visit the different policies and schemes, you will find that up to 1970s, and also beyond that, most of the policies, even till recent times, most of the policies and schemes had a part which was something to do with availing subsidy. And every one of us, be it urban or rural, whosoever went into entrepreneurship, whosoever wanted to avail some facility under a particular scheme and policy, he or she went into went into the scheme and policy with a question in mind: is there a subsidy? Is there a subsidy related to the scheme and policy? What subsidy do I get if I avail that particular benefits under that particular scheme or policy? So a subsidy based approach for linking markets and rural development was one approach which Government of India had followed by another approach called grant based approach, right? So it was nothing to do with subsidy. It was a grant which would be given, and you can utilize that grant as per your outline, as per your design, but with you need to show your output in terms of achievements, right? So that was all about grant based approach, and we still do have an approach in our institutions and organizations. We still have this grant based approach. But when we talk about market based approach for rural development, grant based approach has been taken over by, or subsidy based approach has been taken over by, microfinance based rural credit support. We used to talk about grant based approach. We used to talk about subsidy every time we went in for a loan, be it rural or urban. We always talked about what subsidy do I get by availing the benefits under this scheme and policy. But now if we look at the rural gamut, if we look at the largest one, another largest programs running in the world, the National Rural Livelihood Mission, we basically are talking about microfinance based rural credit support, right? Consumption loans, small loans, repeat loans, consumption loans, small loans, which can sustain our day-to-day activities, which can sustain our consumptions. And then at the same time, they are also giving credit. They are also getting into loans which can promote your entrepreneurship, or which can promote your livelihood, right? So all these market-based approaches towards rural development, they have proven to be, they have proven to be rather non-sustainable until and unless there is a market angle linked to it. Market integration is there, right? So let us see that when market is linked to these approaches like subsidy approach, grant-based approach, or microfinance approach, can we really come up with a solution for the rural population in terms of giving them a decent livelihood, in terms of giving them a decent earning, right? Decent earning. Let us look at that angle. So when we talk about some entrepreneur in the rural areas, or some particular household in the rural area practicing a livelihood through microfinance or through consumption loans, right? There are many factors, there are many factors which would decide whether the livelihood can be promoted, whether the livelihood can be sustained, or entrepreneurship activity which the household has taken up can be sustained. Many factors would come into the picture which would decide on the sustainable nature of that particular activity. Okay. Now, when we talk of market-based approach for rural development, we need to look at factors contributing to growth of rural markets, right? What has been the government initiatives, or what has been the initiatives of the rural population or the rural households? Let us look at both these sides. If we look at government initiatives for promoting market-based approach for rural development, government has come up with some schemes and policies and measures which talk about self-sufficiency, self-sustaining, right? Self-sustaining households, Operation Flood, White Revolution, Green Revolution, to name a few. I think most of us, we know about this. Then programs like IRDP, Integrated Rural Development Program, right? Rural Electrification Program, TRISEM, Training Rural Youth for Self-Employment, public sector undertakings and cooperative banks, land farmers. For example, Kisan Credit Card, the Canara and Andhra banks, their lending measures, right? So contract farming, all these have been initiated by the government to propagate market
I think some audio problem is there. So,
Yeah, I think I have come in. Can you hear me?
okay, okay. Yes, madam.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. The connection went off. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So, okay, let us get into the evolution of market-based approach. We talked about rural development, approaches. We talked about how rural development government is trying or has been trying to, connect rural development with the market approach. Now let us look at the evolution, how markets and rural development basically has come about, right? So evolution of market-based approach. Basically, when we try looking at the market-based approach, the evolution of market-based approach, we are basically talking about the evolution which has come about in rural markets. We are talking about characteristics of rural markets, how rural markets really are, right? We are talking about the nature and the pattern of rural consumers. We are talking about the potential for rural markets in India. We are talking about challenges in rural marketing, and then we are talking about strategies to capture rural market. I think all these aspects, although I'll be discussing in a nutshell, all these aspects will be covered by P.P. Bhattacharya, my colleague, and other. Market approaches went till 1990s, and what has changed with respect to rural markets after 1990s. We'll come to that, right? But now, if we look at the statistics, we find that the rural markets are growing even more. At 3 to 4% annually, it is being said. But I think it has also it is making a quantum jump in terms of absolute figures. Okay, if we look at the different entrepreneurial activities or artisanal activities in the villages, we find quantum jump in absolute figures across various cottage industries or various micro and nano enterprises, making quantum jumps across the country, right? But when we talk about the annual growth rate, it lies somewhere in between 3 to 4%, adding more than 1 million new consumers every year in the rural market, right? So we can boast of this figure, right? Characteristics of rural market. Initially, we had a market, market type where everything was produced in urban areas and it went to rural areas. Okay. Then in between, we had something called rural to urban areas. Everything was produced, or most of the things were produced in the rural areas, and there was a flow of commodities from rural to urban areas, right? Then we have a third market where, we have rural to rural. Everything is produced within the rural gamut of the country, within the rural villages, and the products go from one village to the other, from one panchayat to the other, right? When we talk about, so this was the previous slide. If you look at the previous slide, it was all about evolution of rural market, how rural market has evolved, right? The second point is about rural consumers. If we look around, we find that the rural consumers approach to buying and selling commodities is more developmental than transactional. Why it is not transactional? Transactional happens at one point of time. You give the money, you get the thing, right? That is transaction happening. You have the ability to pay, you pay, you get the commodity, right? But this ability to pay, or rather inability to pay it becomes a decisive factor in case of the rural areas where transactions do not take place at a point of time. Okay, and it is more governed by, besides this not having enough cash in hand, right? Other social, cultural, and economic factors also go in to decide the nature of transactions, happening in rural areas. They are more developmental than commercial. They are not, they are not transactional. Transactions happen when you have liquid cash in hand. And there lies the main, drawback or main hindrance in terms of linking the rural markets to development, or linking the rural population to markets. Okay, both ways. Okay. Third, potential for rural markets in India. When we talk about potential for rural markets in India, we basically look at identifying the potential amidst agriculture. Right. When we talk about 70% of the population or households in the rural areas to be farmers, right? And definitely, when we talk about potential for rural markets, we would fall back upon agriculture. Okay. Challenges in rural marketing. The next point. Market at the bottom of the pyramid is the key for economies of scale. Right? Scope of giving economies of scale. When can there be economies of scale? Right? When we have the concept of bulk selling and bulk buying, when we have the concept of optimum utilization of the space, or optimum utilization of the production space which we have. Right? Then only we can think of getting into the shoes of having economies of scale. Otherwise, we will be nowhere near it. Otherwise, we cannot be near it. Because when we talk about economic growth, right? When we talk about economic growth, we usually talk about increasing capital output ratio, right? Your output should increase as compared to your capital invested. Right. Secondly, when we talk about economic growth, we also talk about innovations. Right. We talk about thinking out of the box, getting into new innovations, new products, right? New designs, new technology, so that we can really get into the nuances of economic development. Okay, so if we are looking at the market, if we're looking at the rural market especially, which is at the bottom of the pyramid, we need to look in for economies of scale. And for these we need to go into okay, we need to go into someone's microphone is on. Kindly mute. Okay, yeah. So when we look at, the challenges in rural marketing, which is at the bottom of the pyramid, when we look at it, Mr. Arvind Kumar M. Singh, I think there is an annotation request from your end. I think I do not know, by mistake, I think you have clicked in some button. So kindly be a little careful. Okay. So when we talk about the market at the bottom of the pyramid, we are basically talking about economies of scale and how to attain this economies of scale by way of bulk production, mass production, reaching the optimum scale. Yes, this you can do it by way of having innovation or new technology. I think PP sir would be getting into explaining to you how you can increase your market access of your products, of your household's products, or whom you are giving handholding at the grassroots, how you can increase their access to the market with the help of technology. And here in comes the meaningful role of economies of scale, having economies of scale. Okay, now strategies to capture rural market, digital platforms. This is the subject matter of this particular training program. Developmental marketing, all of us can think about going into developmental marketing, right? New ways of marketing our products, new platforms for marketing our products, new ideas of coming up with new products. Okay, so that would definitely give you, an access to platforms where you can have a better sale, where you can have not only a better sale but bulk sale, and through it you can try achieving economies of scale. Okay. So I was talking about the evolution. If you can kindly recall a couple of two slides back, I was talking about, I'll be discussing the phases. If you look at the evolution of market, right? Rural, urban, urban, rural, 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 right? Phase one, that is before mid 1960s, before Green Revolution took over, right? Basically the major product in India was agricultural produce. And it went from, rural to urban areas. Okay, phase two, that is mid 60s, Green Revolution to pre-industrialization period, 1991, right? Mid 60s to 1991, when India went in for a laissez-faire economy, right? An open economy. The agriculture inputs, major product were agricultural inputs, and these inputs went from urban to rural areas. Right, first phase, up to from independence to 1960s, mid 1960s, the major product was agricultural produce. It went from rural to urban areas. The second phase up to 1991, mid 1960s to 1991, the major product was agricultural inputs, right? All types of inputs, just a second. One second. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So in the second phase, the major products were basically the agricultural inputs, which were manufactured in the urban areas and which went to the rural areas. This was the kind of market which rural India had. Right. Phase three, mid 1990s, that is post liberalization 1991, after India attained the laissez-faire economy, up to the 20th century, rural marketing, sort of how it went. The basic major products were basically the consumables and durables for consumption and production, and those were made, or those are being made really, in urban and rural areas, and these products went to the rural areas. Destination markets were urban as well as rural areas. Okay, phase 4, 21st century, now we are talking about developmental marketing. Right? Developmental marketing, we are talking about technology, we are talking about social media, marketing through social media, we are talking about using, various online platforms for marketing, right? So these are all, major products are all products and services, right? And who is the source here? Both urban and rural India. And destination market, it cut across both rural and urban India. So this is how, market has changed its face over the years, over decades, since India attained independence in 1947. This is how changes have been taking place with evolution of markets have been taking place with respect to rural to urban, urban to rural, urban and rural to rural, right? Urban and rural to urban and rural. This is the phase in which we are into right now. All the commodities, major products are being produced both in urban areas as well as rural areas, and they are being sold across both urban and rural areas. All right. Now, the last part of the presentation, digital marketing strategies. So by now we know how market phases have changed over the years in India. We know how markets have evolved in India over the decades, right? And what type of approaches were taken by the government to reach the rural population, so that to make them have access to the markets, right? Now let us look at another very, very important, aspect of rural markets, that is digital marketing strategies and rural India. How to go about it, or how to, how do we reach these aspects? I mean, how do we connect? How do we connect to the rural population through markets? Right? How do we give them the access to markets so that they can have a better livelihood? Or how do we connect with the rural population through markets? We can have a look at both ways. When we talk about digital marketing strategies, traditional outlook is that, that we have had resistance to change. A couple of years back, you go to the villages and you talk to them about using the online platforms, using maybe some technology to market their products. They would say, we have a mandi, we have a weekly mandi, we have fortnight mandi, fortnight market, monthly market, bi-weekly market where we can sell. We do not want this kind of platforms to sell our products, right? Why this was so? Because of lack of adaptation to new practices and lack of desire. Somewhere they were not motivated enough to earn some extra bucks by selling the same product in some outside market or through a platform where they can get more money. Because purchasing power, as we see in villages, is if you look at statistics, it is much lower than in the urban areas, right? So if you price something at a higher end, there you will hardly have a consumer in the rural market, right? Something which is produced in the villages and something which the villager wants to sell in the villages, right? For these, you need to have the zeal for adaptation, the zeal for taking up new practices, and to come up with some kind of innovative idea to accept what is being offered to him or her. Right? There was also resistance because of many languages and dialects. People cannot. One second. Okay. Sorry. Then many languages and dialects. When we have, India is a land of several dialects and languages, right? Constitutionally, we have languages which are recognized, and outside constitution, we have our own tribes, we have our own caste, where we go on with our own local languages. Right? So there is always a resistance to understanding when we cannot talk in a universal language. Right? I think this is also one of the factors which took a toll on getting, not really getting, but on agreeing to take up with new platforms, with new technology while accessing markets. Okay. Vast and scattered markets. All of us, we need to accept this. Our markets are very vast and they are scattered, mostly unorganized and dispersed markets, right? And when we talk about mandi, recently, all of you know about the farm bills, what is going on, what was going on, and what government's intentions were, and where where somewhere where they could not convince the farmers that everything was actually the path which was taken by the government in terms of the farm bills were correct, and the farmers would gain from it. Right? So we still continue with unorganized and vast dispersed markets. inadequate reach of technology. We have television, we have radio, we have computers, we have mobiles, we have internet, right? But if you look at the statistics in the rural areas, right, what percentage of households have these access to these technologies? We need to look into that. We need to look into that. Okay. And then inadequate distribution and channel management. Okay, can you all hear me? Can you all hear me, Parthaji? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Then about inadequate distribution and channel management. All of us would agree to it that, resistance to understanding the market channels. Yes, resistance to understanding the proper distribution channels. There are too many tires. All of us would agree to it, right? If we want to distribute some commodity, if we want to have access to a market, suppose a farm product market or farm produce market, right? Different tires, different channels would be there, and these increase the cost of distribution. How many, just give a thought to it, how many of the village households who are below poverty line can think of coming up with a product, or if they have a product, or if they have a produce, going through too many tiers or too many channels with enhanced cost of distribution? They cannot afford, right? They cannot afford. So this is something again we need to look into, right? Now, what are the strategies? All these factors which we have discussed right now, inadequate distribution and channel management, inadequate reach of technology, vast and scattered markets, traditional outlook, many languages and dialects, right? If we look at these factors which hindrances the village households or the rural households to access markets, where does the answer lie? Right? The answer may lie in following the 4A approach. Availability, affordability, acceptability, and awareness. We need to, if we look at bottom up through these 4 approaches. If we look at awareness first, we need to create awareness about what are the platforms available. I think this program is an appropriate program to go back and then relate to your people at the grassroots, what technology is all about in accessing markets in the rural areas. Create awareness, acceptability, make them accept the fact that technologies are available which are cheap, technologies are available which can be afforded, right, through which they can gain, to which they can sell their products and get a good price, right? Affordability. We also need to equip the village households. We also need to give them assistance in affording, in affording these technologies, right? And most important of all, make the technology available in the villages. It should not be that we have internet connection but poor connectivity in the villages, in the hills, right? In the nooks and corners of India. So creating awareness about technology, the markets which are available, online markets which are available, right? Make people accept those markets, right? Give them reasonable, give a reasonable thought into giving these people, the rural households, these technologies available, which they can afford at the least, with the least, least cost, right? And make technology available. It's not we talk that there is internet connection, but there is no connectivity. It shouldn't be the case. There is internet connection and there is good connectivity, should be the case, right? So the 4A approach, okay? Then as development professionals, you need to design the promotion strategy, distribution strategy, and need-based communication. How do you promote the 4As? Right? How do you promote availability? How do you promote awareness? Okay. How do you promote how do you promote affordability? How do you promote acceptability? This is up to you, right? You need to decide on these 4As. That is you need to promote this strategy. You need to design this strategy, how you are promoting this particular platform for market access. Okay. Distribution strategy. We have villages across the country. Some villages are near to the urban centers. Some are very, very far off. Right? So how do you take this 4Ps to the villages which are near off, which are in between, and which are at the far off locations? right? And then you need to go in for need-based communication with your people at the grassroots to promote, technology-based markets. Markets through which they can sell their things and which are basically markets based on technology. All right. Now, having said that, having given you some thought into considering the 4 A's and then going into the kind of strategy which you need to have or you need to design to reach to your masses, can we ask ourselves this question, that can we have an integrated approach to rural development through use of technology in marketing of rural products in the digital world? I think this is the question which this particular program is going to address in the next 4 days, right? You can learn all nitty-gritties about coming up with markets, digital markets, right? With the help of technology, and taking this sessions, all these sessions which you will learn here, taking these sessions to your people at the grassroots, making them understand the technology, making available the technology to them, making available at an affordable price with all connectivity, right? And first of all, before doing all this, you need to create, you need to go back, you need to create awareness about the different platforms available, the digitized platform available to the rural people to access, different markets to sell their produce, right? The consumer base to sell their produce. They can access the consumers at large through the digitized market to, to sell their produce and earn a decent living. Okay, so with these, I think I'll end my presentation. And if you have any queries, observations, or anything to discuss, I'm here for some time. We can go in for that. Otherwise, I thank you all for giving me a patient hearing. And I hope that you carry forward the message of 4 Ps to your people at the grassroots. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam, for giving that a good session.
Thank you, PPG.
We will request participants if they have any queries or anything, so they can ask. Otherwise, we will go for the next session.
Okay, I think this was just an overview of rural development and how rural development can be pushed through, my market connectivity, right? Your technical sessions will follow now. So I thank all of you for being here. 53 participants, a good number. So stay safe, and I hope you'll enjoy the training program. Thank you, PPG.
Thank you, Dr. Madam.